Hi, I'm Tara Powers, and today I'm going to talk to you about building your resiliency muscles as you head back to work. So, we're going to look at the resiliency wheel. And on this wheel, you're going to notice that I have identified 8 traits that highly resilient people practice and focus on regularly so that they can bounce back in any new situation. And as you go back into the workplace, there's going to be some new situations that you're dealing with, right? New personalities, being around people all the time when we've been cooped up for over a year. So we really need to tap into those things that are going to help us be the most resilient as we get back to work. So let's talk about our 8 traits. And as I go around this wheel, I want you to be assessing, where do you think you are in terms of your strength in this area? How good is your muscle? And you'll notice that there are some ratings here on the wheel. So if you feel like I am a 10, I am constantly focused on this, I'm thinking about it, I'm building it, I'm lifting that resiliency weight, then you're gonna give yourself a 10. Maybe you're a 5, you're doing some days good, some days bad, or perhaps you might even rate yourself down here near the center, which would be a 1 or a 0. You're not really thinking about or building this resiliency muscle at all. So I'm going to rate myself as we go through this wheel. And I'm going to even give you some quick definitions of each of these 8 traits that I use to help define resiliency. We're going to start over here with mindfulness. So when we think about mindfulness, what it is a state of active, open attention in the present, observing your thoughts and feelings from a distance without judging them. Being in the present moment without judgment is one of the best forms of resilience building. And I would say, for me personally, that I would probably give myself a 5 or a 6 on the mindfulness scale, right? So I put myself right about here. All right. All right, let's look at the next resiliency trait, which is acceptance. So think about when a problem arises, how do you handle it? Do you tend to blame others and point the finger, or do you own what is happening to you? Resilient people understand that stress and pain is a natural part of living that ebbs and flows and comes and goes. And acceptance helps you learn from mistakes and find meanings in life's challenges. Now, this is something I would say I do much better in. I do try to accept my current situation. So I'd probably give myself maybe an 8 or a 9 in acceptance. I feel like I'm doing pretty good in that area. All right, let's look at the next resiliency muscle that you need to build, which is optimism. And the way that we define optimism is that resilient people see the positives in most situations, and they believe in their own strength and abilities. This can shift how you handle problems and move you from that victim mentality into an empowered state of mind. All right. So, in terms of optimism, I definitely take responsibility for my situations. And I would absolutely say that I try not to live in a victim mentality very long. It doesn't feel good for me. So, again, I would give myself maybe an 8 or a 9 in that area. All right. Let's look at our next resiliency muscle. If you can see that down here at the bottom, and that is sense of humor. People with emotional resilience are able to laugh at life's difficulties and challenges, and they perceive them as opportunities to grow rather than threats. Laughter reduces the level of stress hormones and increases those health enhancing hormones. So, sense of humor. Before the pandemic, I would have probably given myself an 8 or 9. I would say my sense of humor has dropped a little bit. So I'm going to give myself a 6 or a 7. So not where I'd love to be. That's a really important muscle for me that I want to rebuild. All right, let's look at the next muscle, which is right down here, empathy. Empathy builds our self-worth when we see ourselves and everyone around us as having value. Practicing empathy releases oxytocin, which makes us feel happy. So when we are in difficult situations, how do we have empathy for ourselves and for others? And I will give myself a pretty high score on this. I am definitely very empathetic for myself and for those around me when things are going on that are difficult. Internal control. That is the next muscle we're going to talk about. Resilient people believe that they are in control of their own lives. They have a realistic view of the world and can be more productive and solution oriented in dealing with daily stressors. So how do you feel about this muscle? Do you feel like you have control of your circumstances and can change them and influence them? I'm going to give myself a pretty good number on this, probably about a 9 on internal control. All right, let's look at our next muscle that we want to build, which is support. Support. Resilient people know the value of social support, and they surround themselves with supportive friends and family. When we are in difficult situations, supportive people give us the space to work through, manage, and move through our emotions successfully. Again, I would say my support network pre-COVID was a lot bigger. I definitely have become a little bit of a hermit, maybe so you can relate. So that is something I would like to do better. I'd probably give myself about a 7 in terms of my support network. I need to rebuild that. And then my last is self-care. That is absolutely a muscle we need to build. Taking care of yourself can look like rest, reading, exercise, writing, meditation. It's any activity that inspires you, nourishes your soul, helps you recharge your batteries, and fills your cup. Resilient people make self-care a priority. Again, I'm starting back at self-care after COVID. I kind of did do a lot of that, like most of us, but I'm getting back into it. So I would give myself an 8. All right. So I have finished my assessment of my resiliency wheel and how well I've been working on building these muscles. And if I connected my wheel, which I'm going to do right now, okay, you can see my wheel. It's not really that round. It's not really that even. If I was trying to drive a car and this was my wheel, I'd have some difficulty moving forward. I got a little work to do, especially in the area of mindfulness, support, and I certainly would like to beef up my sense of humor and even get all of these up a point or two. So this is a great thing for you to do at home, is to just use this resiliency wheel to do a quick assessment check of your muscles and where you need to start building those muscles again as you head back into the office. I hope that this vlog was helpful for you today. Share it with your team. Assess your resiliency wheel as a team and as individuals, and then figure out what can we put in place to build these muscles together. Have a great week. Bye-bye.